days where 30 journalists have been executed in just a single day. And the total number of dead, 58. Thereafter, our government moved desperately to hold those responsible of the massacre by arresting certain personalities of the Ampatuan clan, notably Andal Ampatuan Jr., the alleged head of the Triggerman, Governor Andal Ampatuan Sr., alleged mastermind of the massacre, and armed Governor Zaldi Ampatuan, and other people. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm the first speaker of the negative bench, and I would like to present to you our 3 arguments why we oppose Zaldi Ampatuan to be allowed as a state witness. First of all, Zaldi Ampatuan should not be a state witness because there is a failure to comply with Section 17, Rule 119 of the Rules of Court on discharge of accused to be state witness and requirements thereof, particularly, number 1, no other direct evidence available for the proper prosecution of the offense committed except the testimony of the said accused. This is not entirely true as to the case of Zaldi Ampatuan because, for one, prior to him expressing his want to become a state witness, there has already been state witnesses who are also members of their private army who took part in the massacre and who came forward and pinned him down as one of the primary masterminds in the plotting and the execution of the said massacre. Which leads me to point number 2. Accused does not appear to be the most guilty. Zaldi Ampatuan has been pinned as one of the principal suspects, therefore making him one of the most guilty and not the least guilty. Which again, he failed to comply Section 17 of Rule 119. So what's the bottom line of this? The rule is set for requirements that should be followed, that should be present, and that should be observed in the discharge of a state witness. And the use of the conjunction "and" would mean that all of these requirements should be present without exception. And there is no room for a liberal interpretation of the law because we have already learned that when the law is clear, there's no room for other interpretation. Second point, I would like to reiterate that Republic Act 6891, or the Witness Protection and Security and Benefit Act, reiterates the same exact requirements that has been provided in Section 17 of Rule 119. So what am I trying to say? Non-compliance of the requirements in Section 17 of Rule 119 would mean that he will not be admitted also, and he would not qualify under RA 6981. And lastly, he should not be qualified as a state witness for reasons that justice has to be served to the families of the victims and that he should undergo proper procedure to prove his innocence rather than taking a shortcut around the justice system. There is no need actually for him to become a state witness as it has been laid in our laws. Our laws provide for proper procedure to be followed in the prosecution of a crime, as stated in Rule 119, Section 17, again I reiterate. And at the same time, our laws follow the principle of non-discrimination, equality, and due process, and presume the innocence of the accused before they are proven guilty. So now, there is a process. You go to court, you present your evidence, you present your testimonies, and the court decides on your innocence or on your guilt. This representation sees that Zaldi Ampatuan's move of becoming a state witness is rather an avoidance of the due process that has been laid out by the laws. And that if he's truly innocent, let the court decide on his innocence or his guilt. What I'm trying to say in closing is that if the claim rests on the fact that he's trying to say equal protection of the laws, I think our defense would also lay on the same rules of equal protection for both the accused and the witnesses. And that equality before the law, yes, full equality to fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal, yes, we can provide that. And presumption of innocence until proven guilty, nobody is convicting him yet. So if the need to discharge Zaldi Ampatuan as state witness is primarily to procure key information regarding his family, regarding the massacre, this representation is of the belief that this is not a mutually exclusive it is not a mutually exclusive fact or solution that rests upon Zaldi, as we have state witnesses who actually participated in the crime and who can actually give a very heavy weight on their information and on pinning him down as one of the principal witnesses. Zaldi, again, may I repeat, based on the information, Zaldi Ampatuan's claim on the information about his family rests on hearsay and on secondary information because his alibi states that he was not even there on the day of the commission of the crime. So let Zaldi Ampatuan stand trial, face up to the charges against him. After all, he has been found to appear as one of the most guilty, and if he claims to be innocent,